World Population Day was established by the Governing Council of United Nations in the year 1989. It was inspired by the public interest in 5 billion day on July 11, 1987, the approximate date on which the world's population reached 5 billion people. MediCircle is conducting the World Population Day series to raise awareness among the people about the impact of overpopulation on humans and the environment. Hi, this is Sana Khan, and today in this initiative, we're going to speak to Dr. Rini Naik. Dr. Rini Naik is a consultant obstetrician and gynecologist practicing at Healthway Hospitals at Panaji and Old Goa. She has done her Masters of Surgery in Obstetrics and Gynecology, DNB, and has a fellowship in gynec endoscopy and NDBH. She has several clinical research papers published in renowned national and international journals. She has expertise in pregnancy care and deliveries, various gynecological surgeries like hysterectomy, myomectomy, laparoscopic tubal ligations, and other diagnostic and operative laparoscopic surgeries. She also manages infertility and does IUI treatment for her patients. She has conducted several medical checkup and pap smear screening camps for women across Goa. She has also given health talks and conducted webinars on reproductive health issues for women and adolescent girls. She aims at providing best and affordable health care to women across all the socioeconomic groups in the state of Goa. Please welcome her to MediCircle. Hi, Dr. Rini, how are you?
I'm really good. Thank you, Sana, for that introduction. And thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity to connect women and people all across India so that we can share our information on this very important topic on the occasion of World Population. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking out your time from the busy schedule and coming to our show and share. We'll be glad if you give your knowledge to our viewers who are waiting to know so much about how to go about making the change in population. What can be done? What help can we do? So beginning with the interview, what is the population growth rate of India right now?
So in 2020, our Indian population was estimated to be 1.38 billion with a growth rate of 0.99%.
Okay.
Whereas as of now, even in July 2021, already our estimated population is 1.39 billion with a growth rate of 0.97%.
Okay. And so what is the impact of overpopulation on the environment and economy of our country?
So as you know, Sana, anything in excess always puts a tremendous pressure on the environment. So a rapid population growth definitely will affect the environment.
Mm-hmm.
In order to meet the demand for food, energy, and housing of this increasing population, we need to speed up with our urbanization and industrialization. And in that bargain, the forests and agricultural lands are now destroyed in order to build housing complexes, to build up industries, etc. So all this leads to land degradation. So this in turn then causes problems like soil erosion. Also, there is a problem of land pollution with the increasing population and extinction of plant and animal species because this growing population is now encroaching on their natural habitat. Second problem is of air pollution. So with overpopulation, there will be increased transportation, increased use of fossil fuels, and release of these harmful gases like carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases into the environment, which ultimately disrupts the ozone layer and thus causes global warming.
Right.
The third problem is of water pollution. So with overpopulation, with overcrowded housings, with increase in the slum areas, so all that results in improper waste disposal from the residential areas, from the industries into the water bodies, thus contaminating the water bodies. Also, with overpopulation, there is another problem which is coming up, especially in Goa, is overfishing. So that again results in reduced diversity of the marine life. So all these three types of pollutions, they in turn are responsible for the climate change that we are seeing now. This is because the nature's balance is disrupted by all our man-made activities.
Right.
So therefore, you're seeing more of these unprecedented floods, different natural calamities like cyclones, hurricanes, tsunamis, etc. So that is how adversely our environment is affected with overpopulation.
Right.
Second, moving on to the economic part of it, the economic growth and the population growth, they need to have a perfect balance in order for the country to undergo development.
Right.
For example, if there is low population growth in a high income country, there will be a deficit in the workforce and thus its economy will be hampered. Similarly, if there is overpopulation in a low income country, it will exhaust its resources and that will result in unemployment, poverty, and then again, it will hamper the country's economic growth.
Right.
So also many factors like age structure of the population, size of the country's workforce, also international migration, all these factors, they themselves are affected and they also affect the country's economic growth.
Correct.
In fact, in India, our current population, 67% of it is in the age group of 15 to 64 years, which contributes to our workforce. Therefore, it is expected that in the next coming few years, our Indian economy will definitely have a boost, provided we get the COVID situation under control.
Hopefully. Okay, so Dr. Rini, what type of steps, or what steps do you think are essential from the government's end to control the population?
So government has to play a very important role in controlling population.
Right.
So they can take certain social measures and certain economic measures to curb the population overgrowth. Social measures include, as you already know, according to the Indian law, the minimum age for marriage is 21 for men and 18 years for women.
Correct.
So if this law is followed to the core and if we have compulsory marriage registration, we will be able to take control of this measure. We will be able to restrict the age limit of marriage for all. Second thing is education for all. Spread of education definitely changes the outlook of the people. Right. Educated couples are more likely to delay marriages and they are more likely to adopt a small family norm in order to balance their career. Also, girl child education should be the government's top priority.
Right.
Free education may be provided to girls so that more and more girls are educated, especially in rural areas.
Right.
Third point is adoption. Adoption should be promoted. Couples who fail to have children despite of several medical treatments, rather than going for costlier medical treatments which they cannot afford, they should be advised and counseled to adopt orphan children. Also, if some government aid is provided for them for the child's food and education, then that will be beneficial not only for the child, but also for the adopting parents, and thus it will promote adoption.
Right, very true.
The next and the most important measure is spread of awareness. We need to increase the awareness regarding family planning, regarding the impact of overpopulation. So this can be done either through several mass media or social media campaigns, just like yours. Second way we can handle this is, in hospitals and health centers during the routine OPD hours, a lot of men and women collect outside the clinics. So during that time, we can have health talks for these people on different family planning methods. Right. So that is one way. Also, family planning camps can be done organized by the local governments, especially in these rural areas. So here they can offer them free lap ligation surgeries. They can offer them free copper-T insertions and thus promote contraception. The next and the most very important one, which is not yet even happening in India, is sex education. We are seeing a lot of teenage pregnancies in these last few years. And if we make sex education mandatory in schools, we cannot prevent the children from abstinence, but at least we can teach them how to have safe sex and use contraceptive measures, thereby preventing teenage pregnancy.
Correct.
The economic measures which the government can follow are certain incentives can be given by the government for those people who undergo permanent sterilization operations. Also, facilities like childcare leave, promotions, then subsidized ration should be extended to the working class couples who adopt small family norms. Employment to women must be facilitated so that these women remain busy and they adopt small family norms. And lastly, strict enforcement of laws on child labor, beggary, child trafficking should be implemented so that these parents from low socioeconomic strata, they do not just raise children so that they can sell them or they can send them to work and earn money. So this in turn will force them to adopt some birth control measures.
Correct. So, Dr. Rini, like you said, that taking precautionary measures is very important on the birth control thing. How to choose a contraceptive or a birth control method for everyone?
Yes. So contraception is very important, and I think it should be made freely available and accessible to everyone. So there are so many measures, right? How do we choose from them? So what I usually suggest my patients is consider 5 factors before you choose a birth control. One is its effectiveness. Second is whether it is reversible or not. Third is the side effect portion. And fourth is the relationship status between the couple, whether they are staying together, having frequent intercourse, or whether they are in a long distance relationship. And lastly, the cost of the contraceptive method. So now based on the effectivity of the contraceptive, I'll discuss all the birth control measures that are there. So the most effective method, that is more than 99% effective, is the permanent sterilization operation. Now, this is beneficial for couples who have completed their family and they are absolutely sure that they do not wish to have any more children in the future. So they can undergo a permanent sterilization operation. That is, for females, it is a tubal ligation, and for males, it is even more easier operation, that is a vasectomy. So these are simple minor operations, do not require a prolonged hospital stay. And these can be opted for by those people who do not wish to have any more children in the future. But couples who want a long-term contraception and do not want to opt for permanent measures, for them, there are other options which are available. These are intrauterine devices. These are also very effective, more than 99% effective. These include copper T, which is available free of cost in all the government centers as well as in private centers. These are inserted in the uterine cavity and they need to be removed after either 5 years or 10 years. This is a very good option. The second option are the progesterone releasing intrauterine devices. Now these are a little expensive but very effective and need to be changed every 5 years. Third option is an intradermal implant. Now, this implant is a hormone-releasing implant which is inserted underneath the skin. So this is a little tedious procedure, but it's effective for 3 years, but its insertion and removal sometimes may be a little tedious, but a very good option. The next best option with 93 to 99% effectivity are the hormonal contraceptives. Now, hormonal contraceptives should not be used by couples for a long-term contraception. These can be used especially for by those couples who want to space in between their children. So these include progesterone injections. These are to be taken intramuscularly every 3 months. They have very few side effects and are safe even in breastfeeding women. The second option are the oral contraceptive pills. Now, these are easy to take, but the problem with them is that you have to take these tablets every day. And if you forget even one of these tablets, then it might result in a contraceptive failure. Also, these cannot be used by breastfeeding women. They cannot be used by women who are hypertensive, diabetic, have heart disorders, or have some blood coagulation disorders. So that limits its use.
So this has a lot of complications.
Yeah, it has a lot of complications, but it is very easy to use because it's an oral contraceptive. But you should obviously consult your gynecologist before you start these pills. Please do not start these pills on your own.
Correct.
The next option we have are the contraceptive patches and vaginal rings. These are also very effective, but only it could be a little more costlier than the other measures.
Okay.
The last option that we have for couples who have infrequent intercourse, these are the contraceptives just for one-time use. These are the barrier contraceptives, like condoms, have male condoms, female condoms available, diaphragms, sponges, etc. Their effectivity is 99% only if used properly. If the use is not proper, then the effectivity decreases. Also, certain natural methods like having intercourse only during the safe period or withdrawal at the time of ejaculation can be effective but require extreme self-control. So these are the different methods that are available. And there is a new method which is now coming up is dual contraception, wherein you use two methods of family planning. One is a barrier contraceptive like a condom, and second is another more effective family planning method like a hormonal pill or injection or an intrauterine device. So this will not only prevent the pregnancy, but also protect you against sexually transmitted infections. Okay. So these are useful for younger couples who are not in a monogamous relationship. They can go for these methods. And lastly, I would like to conclude by telling all of you all that emergency contraception, that is the I-pill, should not be used as a regular contraceptive. It is meant only for emergencies. In case a condom breaks or you forget a pill. So in case of any failure of contraception, they have made an emergency contraception. So I have seen a lot of couples who are using it very frequently. They're just popping I-pills, but that is not the way to go. You have to use some regular contraceptive measure. In case that fails, then go for an emergency contraceptive.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Rini, for again taking out your time from the busy schedule and coming to our show, giving your valuable time and insights to us and our viewers today. It has been a pleasure having you on the show. I'm sure all your insights, all your knowledge is going to be really helpful to our public, to our viewers today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sana, for having me.
Thank you so much.